Hey friends, it's Soul and welcome back to Warcraft Weekly, the show that is on your second screen. Like, here's me waving hello before you bury me under another game or a browser tab. It could be anything.
But hey, I appreciate you.
So let's get right to it. This PTR build is a bit of a doozy with another round of quality of life fixes that make me wonder, is this really just a 0.5 patch or is this the low-key last patch of the expansion where they just stop caring about anything and just let the players get all balls nasty with the progression? Let's recap the good stuff that went down this week, starting with some big Torghast's boosts. First, the amount of ash and cinders that you receive from a cell block run have basically doubled, as have the rewards from side sources like the Covenant Assault. What's more is that the weekly lockout has been lifted, like it. That's gonna mean you can just keep running it and get like the 1,000 or so ash and the 300 some odd cinders over and over again until you're done. So it's not just double the reward, the wait time is virtually gone. We don't know where this is going to happen, probably in Korthia, but a new vendor is going to appear somewhere who, for the price of Stygia, will sell you a la carte Korthian armaments. The prices are reasonable too compared to the 1,000 spent for a random piece. You spend fewer Stygia for a less important piece and more for like weapons, that sort of thing, and of course all of which are account-wide. As it was mentioned earlier, anima is going to be transferable via vendor as well. It's not going to be like this super elegant account-wide or covenant-wide feature, but it does the job. All you gotta do is buy the anima that you want at a 1-to-1 ratio so far at least, and send it to where you want to go, including to yourself if you want to switch from one covenant to another. This on top of the increased anima cap right now, and the opportunity to farm for redeemed souls without a lockout should make leveling your covenant an experience that you almost fully own. Finally, in kind of a surprise move, Blizzard also introduced a token that will instantly raise your covenant standing up to a renown level of 40. Boom, just like that. On top of that, the item will also gift you 1,000 anima to get started. Like, I tried to see if I can use the item multiple times like a sneaky head, but no, it doesn't work. Sorry. It looks like you can still earn renown from completing the campaigns, which makes me think that potentially, if or when the campaign skips are also available on the PTR, your main or alt can join the covenant and propel themselves to well over 50 renown after just like a few clicks. Combined with everything else that we know about the PTR so far, this scrubs away nearly all of the friction or, time gating. And by that, I mean the feeling of, hey, I think I want to switch to a different character or covenant for reasons, but damn, all that stuff that I gotta do, that's no longer a worry. I find that to be really cool, and we should totally get on our knees and be grateful to Blizzard for introducing such an awesome new feature that nobody asked for. No, but I do want to take a moment, just a moment, to at least acknowledge that there's likely a minority of players who did not mind the friction, who fully embrace the hybrid tax and the alt tax, who is adversely affected with these changes coming. I mean, it sounds crazy, but let's at least try to demonstrate some understanding here. It can feel like a chore going on a journey with one or more of your characters, toiling away at the daily grind over and over and over again, but for some, each experience is a story that they make their own. And with these changes, the skips are optional in the same way that flying is optional. You don't have to use them, you can still give each of your characters that experience of building themselves up. In the long run though, this is one of those better changes that we can say would increase time played and engagement. It would prolong subscriptions and satisfy the corporate masters because players have more opportunities to spend their time online playing their characters instead of preparing their characters. Notably, the more monotonous churns like the Covenant campaign or only getting so many soul cinders per week. When it comes to complaints, there are a few holdouts, at least at the moment. Having max level conduits is hardly a requirement to get by, but at the moment there's only two paths to them. That's the Korthia grind and the Adamant Vault. Many have suggested making the rank 6 milestone that lets you purchase conduit upgrades account-wide. I mean, no harm there. I would also suggest doing away with the lockout of only one conduit upgrade drop per cell block per week. There's no ash or cinder lockouts, so why not lift the conduit upgrade lockouts too, especially considering the work that's got to go in there. And then there are Stygian Embers, the currency to upgrade shards of domination. Shards are going to be dropping at a higher rate in the patch, which is great, I guess, for alts and new players coming in, but even if you happen to clear the raid on Mythic, players only get at most 60 or so embers per week. It takes 100 embers to upgrade one shard to max level, so potentially 900 embers, and that's going to take 15 mythic clears to do. But how about some more reasonable math? Getting all of your shards to a rank 4 takes half as many shards, 450, so roughly 8 mythic clears. The takeaway is that by the time 915 releases, we're going to be about halfway through this season, and there ought to be a bit more love for people wanting to roll alts without a catch-up path at all. The least drawing solution that I see, more embers should drop, and there are a lot of ways to go about this, like increasing the amounts that drops from raids, or having them as rewards out in Korthia and the Maw, like from events and treasures and rares and daily quests and so on. I'm not saying to do all of those things, but those are some options if Blizzard's interested in seeing alts or returning players at least having rank 3 or 4 set bonuses in a reasonable amount of time. Now let's talk up some Legion time walking coming in 915 and how Blizzard seems to be pulling out the red carpet for this one. The folks over at Wowhead have been toiling away at the data mining game, giving us previews of recolored class armor sets from the Tomb of Sargeras raid, and my initial impressions are that they look fantastic, although some look more fantastic than others, right? The real question though is, where do these sets come from? Until this week, we assumed that we'd get these sets through Mythic Plus time walking through Legion dungeons, which still isn't testable yet, by the way. It might still be the case, but consider the many other cosmetics that'll probably be available in time walking already, weapon skins and other stuff from the time walking vendor. But this week's build dropped some big hints that the Mage Tower encounters will also be returning, likely as a part of Legion time walking. Retuned spells and teleport abilities have snuck onto this build that, when you read it all together, it just screams the return of the tower and its very difficult encounters. But no words on rewards yet, so maybe the sets could be a reward for its completion, which would be cool, I guess? No, actually to many this would be a literal slap in the face, because the love for the Mage Tower is also a love for the rewards that we got from them at the time, exclusive artifact weapon appearances. Like, I got receipts, here's my badge of honor, my beautiful flail, and the date that I killed that bastard Cruel before the Tomb of Sargeras opened, so you know, I have no collar to pop, sorry. So far at least there's been no data mining to indicate the return of these artifact appearances or recolors, and if you're holding out hope, I don't know if that's such a great idea. There's a good chance that these ensembles are going to be the prize for completing these class challenges because it fits as a cosmetic reward. Legion Time Walking already has its round of cosmetics, meanwhile Legion Mythic Plus Time Walking awards actual gear. So I could be wrong, but there's a reasonable chance that I might be right. I do think it's great that the encounters themselves are returning. The encounters were meant to be tuned for each of the 36 specs with some hits and misses, but I was really glad that the challenge was especially tough for protection paladins, which is what I played. There's still no collar. My hope is that it's as difficult as it was before, and to my terrible memory, I don't think the encounters were available on the PTR to check out. It does make me wonder though, just like I wonder with Mythic Plus Time Walking, what's going to work, right? The Heart of Azeroth maybe, and the Legendary Cape? Maybe Shadowlands legendaries? I think the answer to that question is related to how tightly does Blizzard want to tune these encounters, considering that this is an event that they'll likely rotate just like all the other Time Walking events. And after the 2-week intro, we're not going to see it again for months, because remember, Time Walking still only happens every 4 weeks. I think the optimal solution for them, since this is going to be a rotating and evergreen event, at least maybe, is that they'll just go ahead and disable everything and just make it all about skill and not the expansion gimmick that you have at the time. So I want to circle back to the artifact weapon skins, but more importantly, the notion of exclusive or prestige rewards that don't stick around. Because it's not just about the artifact skins, it's about the Brutosaur mount that is now a lot harder to get between the high cost and that it's now on the black market. It's systematically retiring rewards like titles and mounts for PvP. It's the transmog that can no longer be obtained easily, if at all. And then of course, while not very tangible, it's the experience that we get from playing through an expansion that is not preserved when we move on to a new one. I'm totally speaking for myself here. I'm like in the super minority, like the minority of me, right? I enjoy what I can get and I don't care to hold on to that mental baggage of what I could have done if I was around for it. Super minority. But now I want to turn it to you folks. I want to get your take on that feeling of FOMO, or fear of missing out. Is it real to you? Do you care? Share your thoughts about this and whatever else is on your mind. I would like to think that we're getting quite a treat with this patch with what I've mentioned, and even smaller things like being able to fly while in ghost form, or changing the capital of Argus from Makasbi to Eridath. Even if it could have come sooner, I prefer the bumpy roller coaster ride over the one that just keeps trending down, you know what I mean? I'm very pleased with what's going on, but now that I've said it, I think all of you should probably take that with a big grain of salt. I'm sure I'm on record saying that I was pretty happy with what's coming in 9.1, and I stand by by what I said at the time, but optimism and hindsight, it can really work funny together, right? I look back and wonder if I had a sort of defeatist attitude, figuring that the quality of life changes that are coming in 915 wouldn't be seen for months and months. But what is coming in 915 and this sort of shift in Blizzard's tone, many of our complaints are being taken out back and systematically slaughtered, but why stop there? What's left? A couple of things jump out at me, like account-wide sharing of the Mythic Plus achievements like in 9.0. Let's have some consistency there, right? I mentioned having the conduit and socket upgrades from the Archivist faction be purchasable account-wide. There's the forever argument over personal loot trade restrictions. Like, I would like to see a happier medium with respects to guild groups that aren't dicks to each other and just want to help each other out. And there's so much more that I'd like to hear from you folks on a wish list, so feel free to comment. And then there's the big fish, lifting the faction divide. In case you missed it earlier this week, I talked it up and got into why in WoW's next expansion it's got to be a thing. But even if it does happen, it's still gonna take a while from now, so is it possible to do something, not now, but sooner? Can we start punching holes in this divide to sort of ease players, especially the skeptics, towards what is possible? So I would like to see in a future patch like 9.2 or 9.3, the ability to invite people cross-faction into group content. Like, let's just get started. You can talk to them, and while you're in instance content, the Elixir of Tongues effect is automatically applied, so people can use the /save things and add-ons don't break. I know this is a big ask already, like I mentioned this before, half-assing it would make this change feel really janky because it's hard to communicate with people. The group finder would need to work cross-faction, there's whispers to deal with, and more scenarios that I'm definitely missing. But while I think doing away with the faction divide absolutely has to happen, it may not need to happen at an expansion level. Maybe it can be sort of a soft launch, a series of steps to ease players into it, and before long we can get into real debates like, do we call it hero or lust? And of course we're gonna call it lust. I mean, the connotations are obvious. Alright guys, let's pop hero!
Alright team, pop bloodlust.
I think we have an obvious winner, right? And that's the show. So this week was some of the most fun on Twitch that I've had in a while, and it really didn't have a lot to do with gaming, but maybe doing the coffee segments has helped me feel a little bit more comfortable with just shooting the breeze, I guess. If you missed Thursday's show, it was random. It was really random, really long. Like, don't sit with your eyes glued to the screen, just have it run in the background somewhere and then have a few laughs or cringes. But I do have an announcement for next week's streaming. I want to make it a little bit special, like in light of wanting to branch out and play different games on stream, but I am gonna at least sort of stay in my comfort zone. Just the other day, a new game released called Tales of Arise, an actiony sort of JRPG in a modernish fantasy setting. This isn't a sponsored stream, I'm playing this because I want to play it, and even if this sort of game might not seem your style, I do invite you to join me next week for some extended streams as we journey together in whatever the hell this world is called. For the fans, don't worry, I'll still be talking up WoW and serving up some coffee to warm things up, but I do want us to jump into this new experience and share it together. So I hope you join me next week. The schedule is going to be put somewhere below, and let's give thanks to the folks who've been keeping the channel alive and thriving, and mostly alive. From the subscribers over on Twitch to our very valued patrons, you guys are awesome. I hope to see you all next week for some coffee, some gaming, and some energy. I don't know what kind of energy, but it'll definitely be something. Until next time though, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.